Hello everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Low Season Traveller Insider Guides. I'm your host, Kate Burgess. We travel today to Naples, Italy, the home of margarita pizza. Yes, that original margarita pizza. Be prepared in this episode to learn about the rich history of Naples and be invigorated by the people and the surrounding cities that house active volcanoes. I talk with Andrea from IC Bellagio, who has been running tours all around Italy for over 20 years. And I apologise for my voice today. I've had a bit of a summer cold, so you can enjoy a husky version of Kate. Hope you enjoy. Andrea, hello. Welcome to Low Season Traveller Insider Guide podcast.
Thanks so much for having me with you today, Kate.
So first, tell us, how are you and where are you at the moment?
Well, all is great. It's actually a beautiful spring day here. I'm actually speaking to you today from Bellagio, the real one, not the one in Vegas. Ours is on Lake Como. I'm in the Central Lake area and just looking out the window, I'm talking to you from home today. And I have the most beautiful view of the three branches of the lake all the way down to the Alps, which is still snow-capped at this point.
Well, you have immediately sparked jealousy in every listener now, knowing what you look out over. Sounds beautiful. Well, although I'm sure Como would be a wonderful place to talk about, I am very excited to talk about Naples. And the first thing that I like to ask all my guests is, when you're staying in Naples and you step outside, what do you see, hear, and smell?
You know, Kate, I'm so happy we're talking about Naples today because it really is one of my favorite places. It's a city with, when you walk outside the hotel or, you know, wherever you are in Naples, there's just this amazing positive energy, this buzz. It's got a really vibrant atmosphere. I always feel very, very safe in Naples. I think that is something to say. You know, sometimes when we chat with our clients about the city and they're setting expectations, you know, they say, oh, when I first walk out of the hotel on day one, am I going to be, you know, I don't know whether I'm going to feel safe. Well, I've never felt anything other than safe in the city. But it's just really vibrant and really got that fabulous atmosphere about it. It's almost like when you go to a university town and, you know, when you've just got all of that positive energy and it feels like there's lots going on and you just want to get into it all. That's the way I would describe Naples.
To just get a feeling of invigoration from a city is so exciting. It just makes you want to take it on and just see and do everything. It's awesome that it gives you that, but also with the addition of safety. That's really important for a lot of people traveling as families, that, safety is often a high priority. So although Naples is a very recognizable name, many know the city, have been to the city, or have experienced the incredible exports of the culture from the city. But for our listeners that may not be aware, could you just give us a quick overview of where Naples is and what the best way is to get there?
Absolutely, Kate. So Naples does actually have its own airport, which is very, very well served, I should say, and also extremely well run. And it is very, very central to the city. So if you are going into the city, it's extremely convenient. Naples is also on our main rail route. We have an excellent train service here in Italy, which is the Frecciarossa. We also have an alternative to the Frecciarossa, which are the Ferrari trains as well. So you do have a choice. But, you know, there's trains going up really in and out of Naples to all the other major cities every hour, if not sometimes two per hour. And the Naples itself is actually based in the region of Campania. So it's further south than Rome. And let's just say it's between Rome and the Boot, if that will give you an idea. And it's definitely on the west coast as well.
I feel that's a great description, between Rome and the Boot, because everyone can picture the shape of Italy. I feel like it is the most recognizable country that, without any cities or titles, it's the Boot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Also, Kate, you know, one place which is literally just a hop, skip and a jump away, or rather, I should say a 50-minute hydrofoil ride away, is the island of Capri, which is another beautiful place which so many people have heard of or also have been to.
Do you say a hydrofoil?
Yeah.
What's that?
a very fast boat with everybody inside. So there's no outdoor seating, and it's very, very fast. Gets you there very quickly. Yeah.
So a Ferrari train or a hydrofoil boat for
Yeah,
Italy's top
basically.
speed.
Yeah. Yeah. We can get you around very, very quickly.
So Naples really seems like the city that is rich in architecture, museums, art, and of course the food, which we will discuss later. And visitors sometimes can be so spoilt for choice of things to do and see and be incredibly overwhelmed. So I wanted to ask your expert advice that if you only had one day in Naples to see these attractions, what would be your ideal day?
So what I would do, Kate, is walk. Definitely have a local guide. I think one of my favorite things to do in Naples is just explore the city on foot with one of our local guides who literally was born and bred in Naples and has always lived their lives there. And I always ask them to show me their Naples, take me on their journey, introduce me to the family members, show me where they went to school, where do they go for breakfast? Because, in Italy, we like to go to the bar for our cappuccino and brioche at breakfast time. And, then aperitivo, take me to their favorite pizzeria for a pizza lunch. I'm not sure if you're aware, but Naples is where the pizza margarita was invented. So obviously you can always get amazing pizzas in Naples. And the shopping there is excellent. And also the pricing is very good as well. There's lots of artisans in Naples. And one thing that they're also very, very famous for are the nativity scenes. I mean, there's literally, Kate, one street dedicated completely to artisans who make these tiny, beautiful pieces that make up the nativity scenes. It's something very, very particular to Naples. But also, if people have perhaps visited Pompeii, or they are going to visit Pompeii or Herculaneum, which are very, very close to the city as well, just a half an hour's drive away. Very different, by the way, Pompeii and Herculaneum. One was the residential area, the other one was the commercial city. So, and it's incredible. Again, if you go with the guide, the stories that these places, they can tell you, it blows your mind. And what you could do is you could also link that to the Archaeological Museum in the heart of the city, which is said to be one of the best in the world.
Oh, wow. And so what kind of things would you see at this museum?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Archaeological Museum, hopefully, there's a lot of links there to everything that's around you, both in Naples, the Pompeii, and also, Herculaneum. You also have further south a place called Paestum, where you have the ancient Greek temples. By the way, if you do go to Paestum, make sure you also stop at the mozzarella farm as well, which is very, very close by, because you can get the fresh mozzarella. They actually have the buffalo cows and they make the mozzarella directly there, almost very, very close to the site, if not next door.
Oh, wow. That's speaking my language now. So if Naples, it's definitely walking, and you think hiring a tour guide is the best way to do it. Do you find that having that guide really helps you avoid those big tourist traps as well?
Absolutely, Kate. It totally changes the experience. And sometimes we have a lot of people who perhaps they either they don't want to feel like they're going to have this full itinerary, and I want some leisure time. I don't want to feel like I'm with somebody the whole time. Or, I just want an overview, a been there, seen it, done it kind of tour. Having the guide can literally change everything for you. And, the walk I mentioned to you earlier, when you're out there walking with the guide, you're heading to the relatives or for breakfast, there's so many stories that come out. And it's so great also for an orientation of the city. The city is quite easy to understand, in all honesty, Kate. It's actually on a hill. And divided almost into, to the west, you have the more modern Naples, and you have the areas like Mergellina, Vomero, etc. And then to the east, which is also towards the volcano Vesuvius, which we should also mention as well. And that is really where you have the more historical districts.
Well, I mean, that perfectly leads on to my next question of the surrounding regions of Naples that you've already touched on, that are absolutely stunning and have incredible historic cities like Vesuvius and Pompeii, and not much further is Sorrento and the Amalfi Coast. And I want to ask this to you in a two-part question. What is the best way to visit these cities? Is it hire a car or taking a tour? And if you only had to pick one, and I know it's always very hard to pick favorites, which city would you say is unmissable during the low season?
Okay, Kate. So first of all, if we can stay talking about food just for 1 second, I have to tell you that within a very easy 50-minute drive of Naples, there is it's actually north, so heading towards Rome. There is a tiniest town in the middle of nowhere, literally called Caiazzo. And there they have the most famous pizzeria, Pepi Grani. And it's literally people will arrive from all over Italy to enjoy pizzas there. And I have good news for people in the north because they've actually just opened also at Alberetta, which is a beautiful hotel in the Franciacorta wine region.
Awesome.
But more on that later. But in Caiazzo, you have the Pepi Grana Pizzeria, and they use the most incredible ingredients and that are so light and so natural. It literally is one of those pizzas that you will remember forever. So that's about a 50-minute drive. So perhaps you could go there in the evening. Pompeii, Herculaneum, incredible story to tell. Vesuvius, especially if you're into adventure, the hiking, the biking, the views from Vesuvius are out of this world. When you go to Sorrento, which, by the way, is pretty much active all year round. So if you were traveling there in the low season, especially around the festive season, it would be a fabulous time to be there because they really go above and beyond with the Christmas decorations. And very, very close to Sorrento as well, you have one of my favorite Michelin star restaurants. I'm not personally a Michelin star restaurant person, I have to admit, but there is one just outside of Sorrento, actually up on the hill, called Don Alfonso, which is out of this world. And it's not, Kate, so much about the food that I love. It's about going there and staying with the family. They actually started their own farm, so they could literally source personally as many of the products that they use in the restaurants as possible. And again, it's all about the people, and they have the most incredible story to tell. Amalfi Coast and the Amalfi Drive, out of this world, of course. Beautiful hikes there as well. And if you want to go a little bit beyond Amalfi, the city of Salerno, especially around Christmas time, it's a really beautiful time to be there. A great, great atmosphere. Do consider, Kate, that while the Amalfi Coast is obviously open in low season, a lot of hotels and shops and bars will be closed, and restaurants, so you wouldn't have a great choice, but you're also going to see very, very few people as well. So perhaps you're going to have Positano all to yourself, which is something that doesn't happen very, very often.
Yeah, that would be magical. That's definitely what our audience loves, is just not having people around, the place to ourselves. And even if there's a few bars open, a few hotels that are available to book, it's definitely worth visiting at that time.
Absolutely.
So you have mentioned your favorite pizza place, 50 minutes north. And of course, we have to talk about the margarita pizza. I can imagine that Naples is absolutely smothered in pizza places. And it's always quite difficult to pick. And I mean, I'm sure it's all better than what I can get here in Australia. But do you have any specific recommendations of within Naples itself of a pizza that people could try?
Yeah, if possible, Kate, I would love to tell you my 3 favorite restaurants in Naples.
Oh, yes, please, Andrea. I would love that.
Okay, so the first one is actually called Antonio and Antonio. I don't think they were very creative there with that name. And I go there for pizza. They literally have 40 different kinds of pizza, out of this world. My second favorite there is a place called La Cantinella di Napoli. And this is really more of an elegant place. They have the most amazing wines, and they have a lot of traditional and local dishes. Also, I would go there if I wanted to eat seafood. My favorite one is the Linguini Santa Lucia. And the fourth one is the Europeo Matozzi restaurant. A very, very typical trattoria. And it's definitely the best place if you want to eat, kind of the food that grandma would make for you. You also get family the portions style that grandma would make for you as well. Family ownership. One thing that I always go for there is the roasted artichokes, which are to die for. They also stuff the courgette flowers when they're in season, and the parmigiana is incredible.
And of course, Naples isn't only known for its pizza. So when you're there, you're walking along and please excuse my pronunciation for all of this, you're walking along the Via Toledo and you end up in Piazza Garibaldi and you stop, you have a wonderful Italian coffee and a svioletta. What are you eating?
Sfogliatella. Very difficult to pronounce. Yeah, that is actually, it looks like a lobster tail almost, in all honesty, Kate, so we can call it a lobster tail if you like. It's much easier to pronounce.
Thank you.
And it's a shell-shaped filled Italian pastry, which is very much typical of Naples. In fact, when I go to Naples and if I come home or come to the office without those, then people are not happy. But usually I arrive, not because of my luggage for a change, but because my arms are falling off because they're full of sfogliatelle directly from the pastry shops in Naples. Definitely worth tasting. However, they are quite heavy. So maybe you can split one.
Yeah, well, after you're, walking around Huge Hill, you definitely deserve one.
And all the shopping, remember the shopping.
Very true. And so I also find with the food that sometimes tourists, we can sometimes get so blinded with what we want to eat when we visit a city. We are so set on what we've heard about and we just block everything else out. So Naples is so connected with pizza, but are there any other dishes that haven't been as globalized that people should know about in Naples if they want to come try it?
Kate, I think a lot of the traditional, just the everyday traditional food, what I always like to do is ask what the speciality is of the day on the menu. Here in Italy, there is this huge culture about using food that is in season. We don't try, we definitely try to stay away from eating mandarins in June, for example. I mean, that's something that we eat at Christmas time. So try, even if you don't remember, what's in season at the particular time that you're in any city in Italy, just ask what is the speciality of the day? What would you recommend? And you've got to be really, really working hard to have a bad meal in Italy. So, I would feel pretty confident, that you're going to eat very, very well wherever you go when you're out and about here.
And that's good advice. Chef always knows best.
Exactly. Just please remember one thing. Do not ask, if you're having the pasta, the linguine Santa Lucia, so it's a linguine with the fish. If you're having pasta, linguine, spaghetti with fish, it's a fish sauce, do not ask for Parmesan cheese to put on top. You will be thrown out of the restaurant.
Really? Yeah. Is that a big no-no?
That is a very big no-no. So if you want to make the chef happy, do not ask for Parmesan cheese if you're having a pasta dish which has got fish.
Or you could do it my sneaky way and make the person who ordered the meat get Parmesan on the side and I would sneak it onto my pasta.
Yeah, but if they see you, it's not going to be good.
Fair enough. That is good advice. Always good to know. Yeah. Never upset the chef either. Trust the chef. Exactly. Don't upset the chef.
Exactly.
So when is the low season in Naples? And are there any disadvantages about coming during that time? You already have mentioned that there might be a few closed things that visitors should be aware of.
Kate, so Naples itself will be very much open and very much vibrant. I think, the area you will find closed would be some areas, it will be the Amalfi Coast. So we would double check, beforehand what that situation would be. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a great time to be there. Usually you'll need to wear a coat. But you usually have beautiful blue days and sunshine. Sometimes you have some windy days, but you certainly don't have the tourists, The cruise ships have all headed over to the Caribbean for the winter. The kids are all back in school. And so it's a really fabulous time to be there. not so many people. And then especially as you're heading towards festive season, of course, lots of local festivals going on, and vin brûlée in the streets, and the roasted chestnuts, and there's usually some kind of food festival always happening as well. Our low season in Naples is really November through to March.
Mm-hmm.
That is what we would call the main low season there.
Perfect. Well, I mean, I know that we could talk about this region forever, and Amalfi Coast could have its very own podcast in itself. But thank you for this wonderful overview of Naples, and I look forward to talking to you about the festivals during the low season on our next podcast.
Thank you.
Naples, get your walking shoes on. Thank you again to Andrea for joining us today. Thanks for listening. Andrea joins us again on Thursday to talk about the exciting festivals that happen during the low season. If you have any feedback or destinations you would like to hear more about, message us on our social channels at Low Season Traveller. Keep your travel dreams alive, and more now than ever, travel is better without the crowds.